Assalamu alaikum wa ahlan wa sahlan bikum. A very good morning, everyone. Our chief guest, Your Excellency, Dr. Ali bin Amr al-Shidani, Undersecretary for Communications and Information Technology, Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sahara Hamayan, and on behalf of Oman Data Park, it is with absolute pleasure that I welcome you all to the launch of Nيبولا AI, the first artificial intelligence ready cloud infrastructure. I would also like to welcome our virtual audience who are joining us from the comfort of their homes and offices. We would have loved to have you all here in person, but we appreciate you sparing the time and joining us online in accordance with the COVID-19 restrictions. Ladies and gentlemen, also, the agenda for today is downloadable on the QR code provided on your tables. We are all here today to be part of a future that empowers industries across Oman and to witness the launch of Oman's first AI platform powered by NVIDIA DGX systems for both government and private sector entities. To explore the real benefits of AI applications and HPC with the guarantee of data sovereignty, security, and reliability. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin with this morning's proceedings, I would like to invite our first keynote speaker, Engineer Maqbool Al-Wahibi, CEO of Oman Data Park, to present the importance of AI for Oman's economy. Engineer Maqbool Al-Wahibi has more than 20 years of diversified experience in ICT and was also named as Technology Person of the Year at the annual IWA Awards in 2018. Let's put our hands together for Engineer Maqbool Al-Wahibi.
I am a creator. Blending art and technology. To immerse our senses. I am a healer. Helping us take the next step and see what's possible.
Wow. Can you really sing? Yes. Oh, wow.
I am a pioneer. Finding life-saving answers. Pushing the edge to the outer limits. I am a guardian, defending our oceans.
Roger that, fly-by inbound.
And the magnificent creatures that call them home. I am a protector, helping the earth breathe easier. And watching over it for generations to come. I am a storyteller, giving emotion to words. and bringing them to life. I am even the composer of the music. I am AI, brought to life by NVIDIA, deep learning, and brilliant minds everywhere.
بسم الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله سيدنا محمد ومن والاه. اسمحوا لي أنقل الكلمة للغة الإنجليزية لتعم الفائدة. Your Excellency Dr. Ali Shedani, Under Secretary of the Ministry of Transport, Communication and Information Technology, for Communication and Information Technology, Your Excellencies, Chief Guests, we are delighted to have you all with us this morning in this very important milestone that will calibrate our journey further towards a better tomorrow in the field of technology in Oman, inshallah. With no doubt, as we had all observed, the pandemic has accelerated innovation, accelerated transformation, resulted in more inclusions in the digital equity space. A kid doing homework alone in another room, you hear a question, what's the size of Musandam? Before the parents' thoughts are complete, a machine called Alexa says the correct answer. In this scenario, Alexa has just replaced the parents as the all-knowing source of information in the eyes of a child through interpreting natural languages and providing answers to questions at a lightning speed. Well, talking about replacing jobs, here is one we might need to consider. I like the way economics view things. They see everything through a framework governed by forces such as supply and demand, production and consumption, prices and costs. According to economics, AI is nothing but a prediction machine. And I agree with that. AI does not actually bring us intelligence. Instead, it provides us with a very powerful, critical component of intelligence that is fast and reliable prediction at the speed of light. Prediction affects behavior and influences our decisions. For example, for an autonomous vehicle to make fast predictions and decide on an appropriate action to be performed during driving, you require super fast processing and connectivity that is served today through a smart AI application using GPU, super processing power, and 5G networks. AI is going to make prediction, which is taking data you have to generate knowledge you don't have, cheaper. When something gets cheaper, here is what happens. We use more of it. We transition problem into cheaper solutions. Photography, for instance, was once a chemistry problem, then became cheaper dealing with it as an arithmetic problem due to the discovery of digitalization. It's all about cost reduction. The discovery of semiconductors in computers had made arithmetic cheap. Internet had made the search for information cheap. Relative costs of few key inputs have fallen dramatically. The cost of digitally distributed goods and services, the cost of search, the cost of communication had all gone cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. While AI estimated to contribute around 15.7 trillion USD globally by 2030, according to PwC, the Middle East is estimated to accrue 2% of the total global benefits of AI in 2030. This is equivalent to 320 billion USD. The compounded annual growth rate, CAGR, is expected to range between 20 to 34% across the region. If you have $1 today, I would strongly recommend you to invest it in AI. It's the future. By 2025, 50% of enterprises will basically devise AI orchestration platform to operationalize AI, up from fewer than 10% in 2020. By 2025, AI will be the top category driving infrastructure decisions due to the maturation of the AI market, resulting in a tenfold growth in compute requirement. By 2025, 10% of governments will use a synthetic population with realistic behavior patterns to train AI while avoiding privacy and security concerns. By 2024, 60% of AI providers will include means to mitigate possible harm as part of their technology. We in Amman Dara Park understand the complexity to transform organization into the AI space, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you. Thus, we brought forward an ecosystem of partners comprising of the world-class leaders in the space of AI that will take care of every element in your AI transformation journey. They will be presenting to you today their capabilities and support to help you execute your AI transformational strategy seamlessly. With the millions of dollars investment that we shall inject in the next couple of years, we anticipate more than 3,500 jobs to be created directly and indirectly across multiple sectors and businesses in the next 10 years in the field of AI and other related technologies. And we anticipate that this will create a market size not less than $1 billion USD by 2030 in Oman. This is a great opportunity for the SME market as well. So, after cloud and managed cybersecurity, Oman Dara Park is introducing to you today an AI cloud stack. We named it Nيبولا AI, powered by NVIDIA, the world-class AI infrastructure provider. With Nيبولا AI, we made sure we mitigate multiple challenges within your organization. With Nيبولا AI, we bring forward financial, technological, and operational benefits to help you transform seamlessly towards an AI-based organization. We understand the complexity around transforming to an AI-based organization. Therefore, with our partners that will be presenting to you today, we are bringing to you Nيبولا AI comprehensive suite comprising of an end-to-end products and services that will help you transform with no disruption to your existing business and with minimal investment required during the first localized in-country cloud AI. The 4 products and services mainly that we will be providing are as follows. We will be providing you with consultancy services, data if required. Through our partners and ecosystem you will meet today, we provide you with qualified domain experts. We call them data scientists with long experience in multiple domains. They will work with you and with your team in developing use cases that will allow you and allow your organization to improve efficiency and provide better services to your clients. We're also providing you with machine learning capabilities to help you migrate your multiple data streams and perform machine learning and data analysis, data warehousing, and data cleansing. We are also bringing forward Kubernetes. Those are cloud-based software development orchestrators for your software developers to develop AI and gaming software using them. And lastly, we are providing you with GPU capabilities. This is a super fast graphical processing unit capability from NVIDIA for you to be able to process your data and run your AI applications and portals efficiently. This GPU capability will be provided to you in an hourly, daily, and monthly based subscription, so you can use it in a need-to-need basis. The rest of the time, you can just use your normal CPU capabilities from our cloud infrastructure. This will help you get the most with minimal investment required. In GPU, we have multiple GPU memory options. As you can see, you can get it on a yearly, monthly, daily, or even hourly subscription modes, depending on your needs. All these services and products brought to you by ODP and its ecosystem of world-class partners are ready to be served to you immediately from today. More details can be presented to you during the course of this day, inshallah. And please, do get engaged with the Oman Data Park team for more clarifications if required. With you, we are gathering here this morning to mark another historical step where Oman is marking its first localized cloud-based AI services and products that will leapfrog the digital transformation strategy in the Sultanate even further, as per Oman 2040. To succeed in our digital transformation, we need to continue our collaboration in multiple areas, adhering to Oman I'timad program and Cloud First mandate published by the Ministry of Telecommunication and Information Technology lately. We need to build sustainability in the field of AI by building a strong, sustainable SME market, especially in the area of gamifications. We need to intensify training and education in the field of AI by including AI in our curriculums and sponsoring a number of our graduates to get hands-on training on AI. We need to continue developing our research and development programs and initiatives in coordination with other nations in the field of AI and machine learning. We need to start working on the feasibility of establishing an AI university and examine how a step like this could directly and indirectly result in amplifying our growth rates in the digital equity space in the Sultanate. We should look at technology adoption as not the end by itself, but it's the means to a good end. The purpose of technology should always be building back our world better. And let's remember that the only thing immune to change is change itself. Thank you very much and have a great day.
If you have $1 today, I would strongly suggest you to invest it in AI. It is the future. Those were the words of Engineer Al-Wahabi. Thank you so much for the insight. Paris is Mr. Jaap Zoedeveld, EMEA VP of NVIDIA. Jaap is an accomplished entrepreneur and international business leader with a proven track record of driving success across IT software and telecom businesses. He'll be speaking about enabling an AI nation. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much. Good morning. I hope you can all hear me. Due to, as said before, due to the COVID situation, I'm really sorry I'm not there. Love to be there live and see all of you. Anyway, first of all, I would like to share with you that please take care, as the weather situation in your area is pretty rough. Take care of that first. That's very important. And then secondly of all, I would like to thank Mr. Makbul and Oman Data Park for the vision they have. A partner who really understands that it's not just about the compute, but that you need to understand the whole ecosystem. And I really you know, to work. And basically described NVIDIA. NVIDIA is a very, you know, challenging company, I would say. What we aim for is to solve problems and challenges which ordinary computers cannot solve. You could say that we try to help the Da Vinci's and Einsteins of this era, of this world, to do the things they want to do. For example, let me use a very good example. We were part of the developing the COVID vaccination, which, as you know, I mean, and that's our DNA. When it becomes difficult, we want to help you. Now, let me share a little bit with you how we see AI is impacting all industries, because AI is everywhere around you today. As mentioned before, Alexa, for example, but let me share you a little details. Now, to go in general, data science is the key to unlock. It's used across every industry for a huge number of cases. Some of the industries that are particular in focus are energy, financial services, telecom, and consumer internet. Now, the different industries, to give you examples, in retail, you could think about supply chain, inventory management, price management, markdown optimization, promotion, prioritization, and ad targeting. Telecom, detect network and security anomalies. Forecasting network performance is going to be really important. And with G, for example, but also people working from home, how that impacted. Work resource optimization, very important. Healthcare. Healthcare is for every country a key, is of key importance. It's improved clinical care, for example, COVID-19 research, drive operational efficiency, speed up drug discovery. Those are examples we already do today. Manufacturing, life estimation, failure protection. In the car industry, for example, failure protection is used in forecasting. In financial services, claim fraud. There are different examples in the world today who use this. Customer service for chatbots and routing and risk evaluation, very important. Within consumer internet, ad personalization, click-through rate optimization, and churn reduction. Yeah, oil and gas, sensor data tag mapping, anomaly detection, and robust fault protection. Automotive, personalization, intelligent customer interactions, connected vehicle, predictive maintenance, forecasting, demand, capacity planning. You see in every industry, and probably I can talk on and on and on, but in every industry, AI is starting to play a role. And as very rightfully said, it is understanding better what we're doing as protecting lives. Understanding, having more insight in how diseases start, early detection of diseases. These are all things which are eminent important. Yeah. Now, this is globally, and you know, this is a slide. There are so many and many more companies and industries and partners who work together. Important is how NVIDIA stands in this. We work together with all partners to enable companies to be successful. We don't what our mission is, how we accomplish things to make it easier for the different. I mean, it's about accelerated computing, which will transform the growth. If I look at the region, yeah, and I'm not going to go through the different names, but there are different companies in the region we already work together with. Which I want to highlight, I think, which is very important, is, for example, what we're doing with Group. We're doing quite some work on genome sequencing, understanding, for example, in an early stage, understanding diseases, understanding better what might happen, but also IVA, for example, in smart cities, very important to control a city, understanding what's happening, understanding the flow, understanding what's happening. Different examples of where through to also the biggest oil company in the region. NVIDIA, yeah. If I look at NVIDIA, and I'm not going to go into complete detail here, but what examples around across all industries, from the use of artificial intelligence for better customer engagement, to data analytics for business forecasting, to advanced visualization for quicker product innovation. We want to understand the full stack. It's not only about a GPU. It's not only about a DGX, I would say. Always compare it with real life, let's say, and I always like to use this example. A DGX is a Formula 1 car. So you need to have the complete picture. And that's why important is to understand the industry, understand the software, have the proper software working on the proper environment. That's when it's out of the full stack. And we are enabling our partners to understand that, working together with them, improving continuously, having feedback. And that's the only way how you work. Now, what I mean with that, let me use some examples, because I think that is easier. I mean, it's always, technology is very complicated, but talking through examples makes it easier. And these are examples across the world. Yeah. Now, first of all, in the UK, yeah, we recently we launched so enabling top scientists and healthcare experts to use a powerful combination of AI and simulation to speed the digital biology revolution and bolster the country's world-leading life sciences industry. Yeah. Dedicated to advancing healthcare through digital biology. Cambridge One, we call it Cambridge One. It's the first project with AstraZeneca, GSK, the St. Thomas Hospital, that's one of the largest hospitals in the world, NHS Foundation Trust, NHS Foundation Trust, King's College London, and Oxford Nanopore. They are the including develop cancer and other serious diseases, as well as accelerating drug discovery and genome sequencing. All matters which saving human lives. Oh. Sorry, I went too fast. Yeah. Next one, weather. AI-based next generation weather forecasting. I think this is also a very important one. Improving the speed and accuracy of weather forecasting is a big business, with the potential to save billions of lives across the world. You know, in Russia, we are able to predict young people able to predict weather within minutes, heavy rains, for example, and go on and go on. Another one, conversational AI, utmost very important. Arabic is the 5th spoken language worldwide. Understanding the Arabic language, helping the challenges, I think that, and especially communicating around the world will be very, very helpful. And then last but not least, protecting the endangered species is something we really work on also. Data scientists. Yeah. Now, they went to the next slide. Important? No. It's fine. Important is I need to speed up or not? Sorry. No. Sorry, I thought I needed to speed up. So one thing I want to share with you, and I think that is very important, our main data park is doing very well. And we need all your help. I mean, to be successful in AI, you need a country to step up and to work together. That means education, research, government, industries, and technology. They all need to be in sync with each other and help each other. Rightfully said, education and research, and especially building critical expertise, is going to be utmost important. You cannot start early enough. We will help Oman Data Park by advising what we do around the world. We have different ways of doing that, and we will also enable Oman Data Park to stand that and help you with that. From a government point of view, the policy and the investment should all be around how do I enable economic growth. Supporting the industries is going to be utmost important. Industries are the engine of your economy. Understanding how those industries will help your economy, and also within education and research, is going to be very important. I believe that if you do that right, and we have different examples and we can share that with you, like for example in Singapore, but a different country where we have been advising. If you do it right, it will ensure great jobs in your area. Technology. Oman Data Park is really a vision and it's good. It's important to keep that leading edge. It's the only way how you will grow yourself amongst in a balanced way will make you super successful. And give you the boost which you would love to have as an economy. And important is to pick out the right industries, which are the industries for your country which really matter. That is going to be really important. I would like, because there's limited time, and I would like to spend a lot of time with you. Gives a little bit of a picture of who we are, what we are. But for sure, I would like to share a couple of CEO in how he made NVIDIA and how he thinks. I think that is very important. Artificial intelligence, let me read a couple of words. Artificial intelligence is transforming our world. The software that enables computers to do things that once required human perception, largely on hardware made possible. In 2003, amid great skepticism, he started and directed the company to adapt chips designed to paint graphics and computer screens. Known as graphic processing units, which is now the GPU, to perform other, more general purpose computing tasks. The resulting advancements and powerful chips lay the foundation that could accommodate much bigger neural networks, the programs behind much of today's AI. In the process, he has helped enable a revolution that allows things out loud, farms to spray weeds, but not crops, doctors to predict the properties of new drugs. Jensen gamble paid off largely because he is today seen as one of the most technically savvy CEOs. And I work 8 years now for NVIDIA, and I can say that he is one of the most compassionate and passionate leaders and a steward of his employees and very generous supporter of education in science and technology. He would spend hours and hours visiting in a university. That's in his DNA. He loves to talk about technology. Still emerging AI technologies, creating an incitable hunger for more computation. His team, we are all very well positioned to share with you what's happening around the world and to help you to succeed in the endeavors which will be in front of you. We're to help you, not only you, but to help to complete everybody who wants to go embark. I would close off by saying thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much, Mr. McPool, for having us here today and giving us some time to share our vision on a very high level. We will have much more time to share it in detail with you. I wish you all the best and thank you very much.
AI enables innovation. NVIDIA provides the core technology reshaping industry and society. Thank you, Mr. Yap. Our next presenter is a strategist from the UK to create the connection between industry, frontier technology, and research, and bring in-country value. Having flown to Muscat to attend this important launch, he will be speaking about the impact of data science and AI on modern business. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Mr. Raj Sandhu, CEO of Baikal UK.
Artificial intelligence technology is providing companies with new processes and methodologies that turn traditional companies into tech companies. We use artificial intelligence to target specific problem statements within the public sector and private sector which align with the organization's strategy and mission. We start with our domain experts. These are experienced professionals with over 20 years of experience. Baikal's tech development team work with these domain experts to understand the industry and for the domain experts to understand how AI can be applied. These domain experts identify the specific problem statements within their industries. For instance, insurance fraud is broken down into motor insurance fraud committed by crash for cash scammers, or using AI to read CT scans for a hospital X-ray department to detect only for sarcoidosis. This technology could come from existing tech created by startups and other tech firms. We also use university research where Michael's tech team will then transfer the tech from the university by developing it into a product.
Okay, Salam alaikum, Your Excellency, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'll talk about how we can actually apply AI in different strategies. As a follow-on from the video, if you have a look at this particular statement, the key word there is experiment and scale. So the idea today is we're not here as a company or as an individual, we're not here to sell you product or to try to explain how things are naturally done in the West, but how we can actually work together. That's the key part of today's talk with you. So, problem statement. As the video explained, how do you actually break down a problem statement within your company? Okay, organizations are large. Defining a problem statement as you want to increase profit or reduce costs is not enough with what we think is AI. To experiment and scale, break down the problem, right? If you have your AI strategy, or you have any other business strategy within the company that you want to use AI on, you have to break down the component parts of that particular problem. Okay? So, what is AI? As we've had a couple of definitions, obviously from engineer Wahabi, obviously from NVIDIA as well. We use AI every day. We're using it now, it's in your mobile phone. In maybe 2-3 years' time, 10% of the audience will come via a self-driving car. It's being used as we speak. On the right-hand side is the Hollywood depiction of what will happen in the future. And you always see different dates and times of when these things occur. The fact is we don't know, right? And you'll see later on in the presentation how you can actually create some of that technology within Oman as well. And we want to help you create that. Okay, so domain experts, okay? So today is not very, we're trying to keep away from the technical element of obviously what AI is. Because there is a human element, okay? Artificial intelligence doesn't work in its own sort of format, but you can say machine learning, deep learning. You can talk about self-learning and how computer software and computer hardware will do all the work for you. You need human input. So in the UK, what we have is we have a number of domain experts. These are experienced individuals, but they also understand technology. They appreciate technology, but it doesn't work on its own. So as an example, you have obviously a doctor. He's a pediatrician. He works with us in terms of detecting where there's problems within children's health so that they don't have problems later on. Very important in terms of obviously preventative care, so that obviously the future bills and the current bills of obviously healthcare are reduced, plus also the suffering of obviously children's health. Then you've got the insurance and banking fraud expert. Again, not an insurance and banking industry expert, but fraud. He specializes in fraud. He uses his knowledge. For 15-20 years, he's seen the evolution of various software, but again, using AI, how can you actually automate those processes, but not just automate the processes to make them quicker, but actually disrupt the actual end problem statement as well. That's the key to it. And if you look, it's a bit small writing, but you have a telecom expert as well. We're actually doing something in the UK as a small example, where if you have an ATM card and it's used, let's say in Muscat today, at 10 o'clock, and then at 10:30 it's being used in Abu Dhabi. Which of those two transactions are fraudulent? How would you actually figure that out? The best way is you work with the telecom company. There's a small piece of, they call it SRI, sending routing information, which pings the phone, so most likely the bank card will be with the actual phone. So wherever that location comes back with, that is obviously most likely, in a high probability, the right location. So that is a very important, if you like, distinction, the connection between the two domain experts. Getting people like this round a round table and helping with your problem statement is what we can provide, okay, with Oman Data Park. Then you've got on this side, you have the police officer, again, 30-odd years experience. A lot of it was in violent crime, violent robbery. He has an overall experience, but again, obviously we're not trying to bring UK problems to Oman, but obviously we can adapt to whatever problems are in Oman because we have that experience. Okay, so these specialists are available, and like I said, there's the lady on the end. She's a domain expert in oil and gas. So again, when it comes to using high performance compute and rendering graphics to detect your fuel locations, your gas deposits, your oil deposits, again, she's had that experience for 20 years working with Shell and working with BP. So domain experts are fundamental to how we actually bring that consultative experience with Oman Data Park to actually help you solve particular challenges. So how do you actually get advantages as well in terms of how do you actually create your own AI strategy once you have the domain experts? The top diagram there shows obviously how at the moment everything is siloed. The bottom diagram shows obviously how you want to be able to actually bring different data sets together, but also you can actually have multiple hops. What that basically means is if you are a bank and you have a customer, that is your first hop. But that bank customer may have 3 or 4 hops, i.e. their job, their family, their other aspects of their life that will affect your relationship with that bank, okay? So how do you actually bring that data into one place? With AI, you can actually do that, right? Before, obviously, doing that manually is quite a laborious task, but with AI, you can do that. Simple thing, maybe connecting to, getting permission to connect to someone's LinkedIn account, or getting linked or connected to other social media accounts will bring that additional information. Okay, ethics, AI, and regulation. Everybody thinks that AI will take away jobs. Again, we don't believe that. This will enhance jobs. This will enhance the economy. So getting that understanding into your strategy is important, right? How do you build your framework so that privacy laws are respected, the right laws are used, and the data ownership really needs to belong to the people, obviously, that you work with, right? So whether it be a company having their own data, whether it be an individual being in control of their own data, build that into your framework, right? So that way everyone then begins to trust it more as well. And if you see the last diagram, the idea is, they call it cobot, don't they? That the robots are working with the humans in various ways. Think of a strategy where there's an ongoing sort of oversight in terms of your ethical AI, in terms of your framework, and assess. Don't believe what the AI tells you. It must be questioned. There may be a separate panel of non-technical people that you should employ that will actually question these results. We strongly recommend that in any AI strategy. Okay, so data, right? Data is the new oil. You've probably heard that many, many times. Or data is the new gold, whichever you want to take. But everybody in the room, if you're any large organization, you will have data. We are working with some emerging economies where there's files and files of paper documents. That is data. Yeah, if you have to scan that and then use that, it is data. Use it. It is your asset. I think eventually these things will end up being on company balance sheets at some stage. And then training. I think sometimes, when it comes to AI, people, again, operatives within a company may sometimes think, it's too technical, they don't want to understand it, or they don't want to learn about it, just because of the science element behind it. I think it was AT&T, took all their 230,000 staff on a 6-week AI training course, so that everybody knows what AI is. They may not use it, but at least they understand what it is. Strongly recommend that as part of your strategy as well. It's very important to try and just get people into the realm of understanding that they are using AI every day, right, on their Twitter accounts and Facebook when it's working, to use that as part of their understanding and learning. Okay, so this is where I think, like I said, we're trying to localize. We're trying to localize development within Oman. The idea is obviously to bring some ideas, some fresh strategy that we've used in the other parts of the world. Obviously, we used in the UK and we've developed in the UK. But how can you apply it to Oman's 2040 vision? The universities here, I think, are very rich in talent. From obviously the percentage of women graduates in tech is a lot higher than it is in the UK. So we should tap into that. I think there is an ecosystem within sort of the startup scene as well. And with the Oman Data Park, the way that they're set up in terms of the virtual lab, reducing the cost of experimentation, right? Going back to my initial point, can you experiment cheaply? Yes, you can now. Before, in the past, you had to get your own AI stack or your own GPUs, whatever. Now it's a case of getting something spun up very quickly. You test for 2-3 months. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you shut it down and you try something else. That is a big advantage in the country. And, like I said, keeping the data local, okay? Because that is your asset, okay? So, absolutely not very clear here, but so Silicon Valley is a mindset. You know, there's a phrase somebody once said is that you know, we can't always outspend the big tech companies, but we can outthink them. Okay, so there's enough within Oman, I believe, and we can talk about this once the event is over, in how you can use your current data assets, your current human resources, and the strategy that the Oman government has as well to actually create product locally, right? So we want to, you know, share those ideas and share those ecosystems that we have developed locally with partners here. Okay, so it doesn't matter how big the company is on an Omani level, but even on a global level, again, it's just about if you want to create something, you'll be able to do it. But how do you do it? So big companies always are worried about, do they have in-house creators or in-house innovators, or do you outsource it? Again, that's a decision, you know, that you have to make probably at the board level. We have seen both ways working, but both ways failing as well. Okay, the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Right, so obviously we've heard many times that, you know, if you have $1, put it into AI. I think you've just got to look at, do you innovate? Do you just work with a startup ecosystem, be part of an accelerator and support the accelerator and then pull out ideas? Or do you get involved directly yourself? Something like that has to be thought of and planned. So this is how it's typically done. So TRL means technology readiness level. Okay, this is a NASA scale that's used in terms of when they develop product and when they use it. We sit at the 4, 5, 6 level. So typically we bring 1, 2, 3 is the university, 4, 5, 6 is the biggest risk. That's where the experimentation takes place. Okay, so that's where the domain experts come in. We can bring those domain experts, we can bring our own tech, we can bring the university algorithms and experiment with you, like say using Oman Data Park's infrastructure, GPU infrastructure. It's very simplified, and then once it gets to 6, 7, 8, then it's obviously something that you can implement and then you can scale up. And you might scale up by supporting the SME or the startup to do it by themselves, and then they can grow to other jurisdictions, other exports, or it just becomes a very sort of bespoke tool for your own company. It could be that specific, so you're only targeting your own problem statement. And so this is it. This is, in summary, is what we're trying to basically do. In the UK, we are part of an accelerator that's owned by Telefonica. They started it because they were pitched WhatsApp, and they said, no, we don't think that's going to be big. And so they actually created their own accelerator as part of that. And from our sort of discussions over the last year with obviously Oman Data Park, with the Omantel Hub, and with the UK Embassy as well, we found that there is an ecosystem and there's a willingness, I think, within Oman to actually develop and create these innovations. So we want to work with the companies in the room today. Myself and my colleague are here as well. We've got the virtual booth is set up as well. We've also had the great support of Oman Data Park's sales team as well, which I guess everybody here knows. But let's just talk about experimentation and creating a strategy. We don't have to talk about anything big. We're not talking about big sort of, you know, 6-figure, 8-figure implementation. Let's try a few things. Yeah, let's be open-minded, try a few things. If we fail, we fail. If we don't, we'll find something fresh as well. But ideally, ultimately, we will save a cost along the way because we all have to be in the AI journey. Okay, thank you.
AI will enhance jobs and it will enhance the economy. Thank you so much, Mr. Raj Sandhu, for your presentation. I would now like to invite His Excellency Dr. Ali Al-Shidani, Sheikh Talal Al-Ma'mari, and Engineer Makbul Al-Wahabi to please join us on stage, and Mr. Yap Zudeveld once again to join us virtually for the first signing ceremony between NVIDIA and Oman Data Park. Thank you all. Now we are going to proceed with the second signing of the teaming agreement between Baikal UK and Oman Data Park. I would like to invite once again His Excellency Dr. Ali Al-Shidani, Sheikh Talal Al-Ma'mari, Engineer Makbul Al-Wahabi, and also would like to invite on stage Mr. Raj Sandhu and Mr. James Goldman, Deputy Head of Mission, British Embassy, Muscat, on stage for the signing ceremony. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much, Mr. Raj and Mr. James Goldman, Deputy Head of Mission, British Embassy, Muscat. Thank you. Thank you all. We shall now take a 10-minute coffee break, and we request all of you to be back for us to proceed with the day's schedule. Our virtual audience will be taking a 10 minutes break, and you're more than welcome to join us. So see you all soon.
But we do it anyway, right?
So you, if I've understood correctly,
ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all, including our virtual audiences, had a good and refreshing break. We will begin in 2 minutes, therefore kindly requesting everyone to please come in and be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin with our next speakers. Our next speaker leads NVIDIA's Enterprise Services, Operations and Data Center Solutions. Joining us virtually is Carlo Ruiz, EMEA Director, AI Data Center, NVIDIA. And he'll be speaking about the new engines for economic growth. Let's give him a round of applause.
Wonderful. Good day, everyone. And thank you very much for having me. And of course, wishing that I could be with you in person, but we do have to manage with the current restrictions in place. Foremost, I'm hoping that you, your friends and family are well and safe after the terrible weather you had over the last few days. So let me introduce myself. My name is Carlo Ruiz, and as you just heard, I'm leading the AI solutions business in EMEA. Think of large-scale AI deployments. And so thank you for the invite today. It's great to meet all of you, all the honorable guests at this event. The topic on the agenda today is about the power of AI, the engine, if you will, behind the new wave of economic growth. And I will also give you a short introduction to what we can do with the NVIDIA technology, AI in general, the why, its practical applications, and of course, what is next, right? AI at scale. And there are tremendous challenges, right? There are benefits in this space, but also tremendous challenges. They are enormous, and they do require cutting-edge data center technology. And that's something that ODP has mobilized to tackle exactly those challenges. So let's get started. And as an intro, let me talk a bit about the journey that brought us here. Over the last few decades, and some of us have experienced all of these waves, we have seen these, as I call them, waves of change in computing over the last years. And this evolution of computing drives industrial, but also societal change. And each era of computing was triggered by a revolutionary new computing model. So let's go all the way back to '95. The PC internet era kicked off by Microsoft, Intel, but also other names that have gone since then, like Netscape and Yahoo. They made computing available to over 1 billion PC users in the world. Let's fast forward to 2006. This is the mobile cloud era, ignited by developments like the iPhone and Amazon AWS. And this made computing available to 2.5 billion mobile users in the world. And here we are today together, where GPU deep learning is igniting a new wave of computing, where with AI and deep learning, software can learn and machines can start to reason. And so eventually we foresee an environment where we have trillions of intelligence devices. And the era of AI is here. And analysts and industry are aligned. AI will have a bigger impact than what we have seen from the internet and mobile era altogether. So the impact will be massive, and we have exciting times ahead. And AI, as we heard also from the other distinguished speakers, is a once-in-a-generation technology. It's basically the automation of automation, and we can do this automation now at a precision or a speed that was not possible before. And the contribution is massive, right? So we predict a productivity growth of 16% by 2030, and this will impact the nations around the world. And we have seen the details on the impact that it will have on this region. Also, we see that it will boost the global GDP by 16 trillion. So a tremendous impact. And it will also create 58 million jobs. So it will not reduce the number of jobs, it will increase the number of jobs. But this will not be without any disruption to industries, segments, and nations. Things need to happen if we want to ride this wave in the right way. Now, and just to get everyone at the same level, to create some common ground here today, I wanted to share just a few words specifically on deep learning. And deep learning is a specific field of artificial intelligence. It relies on the training of neural networks versus what we had in the past, hand coding, feature extractors. So deep learning in specific is very exciting to all of us, because there are challenges that were extremely hard to code. And one of my favorite examples of the work that we're doing at NVIDIA is what we do around self-driving cars. Now, making a self-driving car is a very hard problem. It's extremely hard to code. So if we look at the general process, and you see a diagram here on the screen, it kind of looks like this. Let's say we need a neural network to recognize traffic signs. In a car, you will have many neural networks, but let's take this example to recognize a traffic sign. We start training a neural network with many images, with many situations, with many conditions, lighting that might be specific for a location. And after the training, we'll end up with an algorithm that recognizes pedestrians with a certain accuracy or traffic signs. And once you have trained that model, then you start serving that out, the inferencing, or inferencing to lead to conclusions after receiving specific input. And you know this process, right? So the inference, maybe you do voice recognition on your phone, or you use song recognition with the Shazam. All of that is first trained and then served out. And in this car example, when we serve it out, it will sit on a car computer, an NVIDIA car computer, like the ones that we make for Daimler to be hosted in all the future Mercedes cars. Now, to get such an algorithm to perform at 80% accuracy, that's not hard, right? I'm not gonna say it's easy, but you can get something done on a PC like that, and you will have 80% accuracy. But obviously, those numbers are not great if you had to operate a real car. I can imagine the government of Oman not liking a car on the road that has 80% accuracy, right? So the hard part is to get to models which have 99.99999% of accuracy. And then you need to have more data. And the environment will start to change. So as you can see, this deep learning opens up tremendous opportunities, but it's also a cycle that will never end and just gets more complex. And that's why technology is such an important enabler. Which raises the question, what is then the technical contribution that NVIDIA delivers in accelerating AI? So why do we see this very strong uptake and the adoption of NVIDIA GPU computing over the last years? Well, imagine this, if you were a researcher or a developer in the past and you would be working on conventional CPU technology, then you could always count on Moore's law to give you more performance, to give you more headroom, to realize new breakthroughs in your projects without having any major changes. And you can see the CPU performance in the graph here in blue. And so you could always count on Moore's law to give you this extra push and work on a breakthrough. But what we have seen right now is that we're running into the physical barriers and limitations of single transistors. And suddenly that progress is not there anymore. So you can see this performance is plateauing. And there's no way of powering innovation based on the conventional technology. Now, NVIDIA GPU technology on the green line was never designed to count on the performance increase of single transistors processors. And let me move back here. And it is set up that it works in a highly parallel fashion. And so we see this exponential growth of performance power that we deliver. And the delta between the two has become enormous over the last 10 years. So if you want to power tremendous breakthroughs, GPU technology is the engine for this. Now, why does all of this matter? Because the combination of three key elements, which you see to the right, have ignited this big bang of modern AI. One, deep neural networks. It's not a new concept. They have been around for decades, and historically they didn't perform well. But the concept works extremely well. But it was missing the part in the middle, large data sets. And the internet era brought us large labeled data sets. And then the last element that was missing is the GPU technology to power, to have the compute headroom to calculate everything and bring it together. And so we saw the first great benefits of this in 2012 with AlexNet, one of the first examples of AI outperforming conventional compute. And that just happened on 2 GPUs. And the rest is history. Let's move on. So we like to underline that AI is writing software that is achieving results no human written software can ever deliver. So this approach is also very scalable. Scalable in several ways. It's scalable across domains. It's also scalable to take on larger challenges with more complex models. More training, more parameters, more capable. To the left here, we see a chart illustrating the compute resources leveraged for cutting-edge AI projects. It's the number of days to train on a 1 petaflops computer. So on the left bottom side, you can see AlexNet in 2012 requiring 2 GPUs. Now, over the last 5 years, we've seen the requirements go up with 30,000x. And the largest supercomputers to power this are doubling every few months. But the results are simply amazing. So to the right-hand side, you see some examples. At NVIDIA Research, we have run a project where we're reading 30,000 text passages. And then someone needs to answer 100,000 multiple choice questions. The average human scores 73% in this test. If you have an extreme expert in these texts, he will score 95. Or AI model called Megatron scores 97%, outperforming any human. The one next to that is Facebook. They have created a very, very advanced chatbot. And guess what? Over half of the users, they prefer the chatbot over human interaction because it's simply better and more tailor-made. Let's move on. We also have great scientific breakthroughs powered with this. So Deep Drive MD and NMD have won a special Gordon Bell Prize for their COVID-19 research. They used converged simulation and AI to understand the COVID virus and how it infects a human cell. The work that they have done with this was done on one of the largest NVIDIA-powered supercomputers, where it would take normally over 100 days to do this calculation. They did it in under 2 days. And this work has been the basis of a lot of other research, and over 4,000 other COVID researchers have leveraged this work. So showing the benefits and the dramatic impact that AI can have. So AI and deep learning in particular turn out to be stunningly effective across many domains, being true engines of change. And they're transforming the way that computers achieve perceptual tasks such as computer vision, pattern detection, speech recognition, and behavior prediction. We've seen great examples in internet services, AI assistants, social networking, recommender engines in e-commerce. Medicine, I mentioned, healthcare, COVID-related big breakthroughs, and the ability to move to a proactive instead of reactive healthcare approach. That's a true game changer. And here in GCC, we have a customer using our technology to do DNA sequencing of over 1 million people to move from this reactive to proactive healthcare approach. Then media and entertainment, we're all using that every day with movie and music recommendations. And security and defense, you can imagine all the use cases, both in the virtual environment, but also in the physical environment. And then autonomous machines, drones, and delivery robots. It's truly changing the face of the earth. Now, silicon, hardware, chip, GPU technology is an important foundation to our ecosystem. And yes, it's very important to go in detail there. There are some great options to leverage when you go for AI at scale. But next to the underlying compute, even more important is the rest of the stack, the software, the libraries to leverage this new compute performance in your favorite developer tools, your own applications. And specifically all the tools that researchers and developers can do to create their own work. And so we spent at NVIDIA much of our developer efforts in creating these building blocks for others to leverage. They can stand on the shoulders of our researchers. And on the right-hand side, you see some examples of industry-specific SDKs that we make available. And we do much to accelerate the work of others there. Let me give you some in detail examples. So conversational AI, and we heard Jaap just speak about the potential of working with Arabic natural language processing. NVIDIA has building blocks so that one can focus on whatever one tries to achieve with NLP and doesn't need to recreate the whole foundation. Recommender systems for e-commerce. Only the smallest improvement possible already yields tremendous revenue opportunities. Smart cities, making smarter, more efficient cities and also keeping our residents safe. We have great toolkits with Metropolis to power, for example, intelligent video analytics. The Clara toolkit is all about healthcare. So we have these building blocks that can help to accelerate medicine discovery, or for example, power medical instruments. The foundation is already available, and to then develop the domain-specific addition on top. In robotics, we have Isaac for simulation, for reinforcement learning of robots, and also for deployment. An example of that is how we work with BMW on the future of factories. Autonomous vehicles, we're working with many auto manufacturers across the world, both for the training and also to completely deliver the inner works for the self-driving cars, like we're doing for Mercedes. And the last one that I want to mention here is what we can do for telco, for 5G, for smart deployment. Now, as you can see, much of this is about supporting scientists, researchers, developers, creators that are leveraging our technology. Today, we have over 2.5 million developers and over 8,500 AI startups that are creating thousands of applications a year that take advantage of accelerated computing. And to date, I'm very proud to share with you that we have shipped over 1 billion of these CUDA-capable GPUs. So from our point of view, much of our work is focused on empowering the developer ecosystem. And developers, they need the most advanced tools so that they can leverage environments as they are available at ODP. Now, as you already noticed, we talked quite a bit about AI. We learned about its amazing results. It started small, but it's also fair to say that some of the key breakthroughs were realized on some of the largest AI compute environments in the world. So as we see larger models, larger projects, the challenges are growing. The challenges do not fit in a single processor anymore. They don't fit in a single computer, but the cluster, the data center becomes the new unit of compute that we should think of. For that reason, you have seen us active in all kinds of acquisitions in the industry and the expansion of our technology. And much of that is created internally as tooling that we use for our own R&D. So some of our leading AI platforms, such as the DGX that was mentioned before and is a key engine in Nibula AI, they are not born as a commercial product. They are born as an internal tool. Our own IT infrastructure built on DGX that is powering some of the most important work. And you see examples at the bottom of the screen of some of the research projects that it's powering. This cluster we call Saturn V. It's a big cluster of DGXs, and it had many expansions over the year. So we make that now available as a turnkey platform together with ODP to developers, to researchers, and our partners to benefit from all the revolutionary performance, the possibilities that we have developed in-house. And it's absolutely industry leading. Let me give you an up-close view of this. So, and as I said, we used to think of a CPU server as the basic unit of computing. But to meet the demands of today's machine learning and AI workloads, we must optimize the entire data center. And the new unit of computing is the data center powered by these DGX A100 AI supercomputers. This is one of the great engines that you see here. And just to give you a little bit of a perspective what that means, just in 2011, on the left-hand side, this kind of performance, 10 petaflops of compute performance, was only available in one location in the world. It came at tremendous cost and available to very, very few researchers. And it had an unbelievable power consumption. As you can see there, 12,000 kilowatt or 12 megawatts. Today, ODP has in Oman a DGX-powered AI cluster with 10 petaflops of performance, enabling breakthroughs, and not just for the happy few, but making that available to local organizations, bringing high performance to those that can benefit from AI adoption and make a difference here to the nation. And it comes at a fraction of the cost, it becomes affordable, and a fraction of the energy consumption, making it sustainable. So this is about democratizing AI in the best possible way. Earlier we talked about it's not just technology, right? So there are pillars to bring a nation forward with AI. But having the technology infrastructure is a keystone to a complete ecosystem. So starting with access to large-scale, state-of-the-art GPU-accelerated computing systems, you can start to work on research from universities, startups, and your local industry. AI will accelerate job growth, but it also requires the right skills and expertise to be able to develop on these platforms. So countries such as Oman need to invest in training and education programs that add AI skills to the workforce. By investing in your key industries, countries have a unique opportunity to drive this growth and solve some of the greatest social and economic challenges. The time to do so is now. And here you see the practical implementation, and I'm very happy to be here today at the launch of this great initiative. Together we bring technology, expertise, investment, and the industry solutions, the building blocks to build upon. So that brings us to the wrap up. I think we can fairly clearly conclude that artificial intelligence is the most powerful technology force of our time. It requires technology, it requires infrastructure, it requires software, it requires these building blocks, it requires the building of an ecosystem. With a strong cooperation on a local level, on industry level with innovators in their domain, that will happen. And so we're very proud to be teaming with Oman Data Park, to work with Makbul Awahebi and his excellent team at the organization. And together we're ready to enable the next generation of researchers and developers in Oman. And I'm inviting you here today, please reach out to our teams, reach out to me directly, reach out to our team on the ground, and let us help you to get the most out of this new AI center at ODP. Thank you for your attention this morning.
AI will have a bigger impact than what we've seen from the internet and mobile together. AI, the most powerful technology force of our time. Indeed it is. Thank you so much, Mr. Carlo. Next, I would like to invite on stage the General Manager, Business Development of Oman Data Park, Mr. Hassan Abdul Ali. During his 30-plus years of experience, Mr. Hassan has worked with some of the top leaders in IT, including VMware VDC, Azure Cloud, IBM Power VM, and Red Hat KVM. Today, he will be speaking about Nيبولا AI, Oman's first and only AI platform. Let's give him a round of applause.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our distinguished guest, very good morning. It's a pleasure having you all together with the break-grounding technology from Oman Data Park, so-called Nيبولا AI. It's a very extensive journey, but I would like to shortcut it in 15 minutes. First, I would like to take you around the Oman Data Park profile. Then I would like to take you about the microservices, which is part of this solution. Then I'll give you a very important introduction about the AI. What is AI? And how we can use AI. It was quite enough slides today, but let's try to understand how Oman Data Park is looking to utilize this AI on the ground. I'll focus about AI use cases as well. And finally, we'll try to cover the security and end to the conclusion. So what's ODP profile? Oman Data Park's been established almost 10 years ago, since 2011. Initially we started with co-location services, and since then we have been grown to having 3 data centers in Oman. One is in Qom, another one is in Wataya, a third one is in Dukhom. Right now we're servicing more than 350 racks with 1.2 megawatt data center facilities and the power of computing to accommodate our customers, almost 1,500 above, which out of 650 are corporate and governments as well. Now, we have also new projects coming, hopefully by next year. We're starting with 1,000 rack, 8 megawatts, to consider as a national data center to accommodate the entire power requirement and computing power and the workload which is required for the country, inshallah. Now, the second data center is in Wataya, and third one is in Dukhum. Now, the choice goes to the customer where he would like to put his primary workload as a data center, for example, in Qom and DR in Wataya, or Qom against primary and DR in Dukhum. Its choice is yours. So we are completely free and flexible, up to your needs. This slide is very important. I would like your full attention. See, when you're looking at the computing power to serve any workload, it's of 4 parts mainly. Your data center, your infrastructure, your platform, and finally your application data. So data center initially is very extensive cost because you have to capitalize that. You have to build your data center. After that, you have to go and build also the infrastructure, which is your computing power, your storage, your networking, and network services components, firewall, load balancer, VPN, and then finally you go to the software layer, virtualization, and ending your application data. So throughout this journey, when you come to Oman Data Park, then you are zero capex when you're considering co-location services. So when you're coming as a co-location services, you're shortcutting 30% of OPEX and zero capex, knowing the power requirement here, we are giving you a variety from 3 kilowatt to 6 kilowatt to 10 kilowatt and 15 kilowatt, and finally 20 kilowatt to accommodate the HPC and AI. When you're coming infrastructure as a service, you're not buying any equipments. Perhaps you come and define your workload requirement of the virtual environment and your workload VMs, and then we try to customize that, and here is 35% to 40% and above. The cost is OPEX is being truncated from your yearly OPEX and zero CAPEX as well. Knowing that, when you're coming to the platform as a service, there are so many products there, okay? The cost cutting is coming about 45% above. AI is injected into the platforms. Right now, our new achievement is AI as a service is coming into the platform. Also, it's coming into the software as a service. Whereas here, you don't buy anything. Perhaps you come and try to procure just the licenses, just come in contact with us, and we'll stage for you the complete softwares and your data as well. So message is what today? We're telling you, please, do not waste your time building the infrastructure and the data center and the networking. You come and try to focus about your data. So today's achievement is just focus on your data. How I can use this data, how I can generate value from this data. So Oman Data Park, as I said, there are more than 350 racks hosting a lot of data. Can we simplify this to our customer in order to generate value from that? Yes, indeed. Therefore, we have came up with NVIDIA solution. Remember, in 2 petaflops, when I'm saying 2 petaflops is equal a mainframe. Our initial cluster is accommodating to support 10 petaflops, which is equal to 5 mainframe. So here, what we're offering you, a power of 5 mainframes on the ground from day one, is scalable at the times needed. Of course, that's what's partnered with NVIDIA and partnered with Canonical and Kubernetes and ultimately AI, all AI frameworks, so that you can use it immediately after you sizing your environment and you're contracting with us, and we'll scale it for you on spot, real time. So let's try to understand what is AI. See, AI is theory. Please note, it is not being born now. AI is being coined from 1956. But why didn't it come? Because the power of computing and the networking was not enough, and the data size. Remember, the soul of AI is the data. That time, the data was not enough. The computing power was not enough, and also the telecommunication was not enough to carry forward that kind of bandwidth in the data. So in theory, AI is a definition of subsets of applications What are these systems which has been consist of? Remember, they came to try to mimic human's brain. So for example, we talk, now I'm talking to your natural language processing. NLP is there, okay? So can computer talk? Yes. They started dialoguing with computer. So NLP is there. I do see you, you seeing me. So can computer see? Yes. Computer vision came into picture. Aside of cognitive systems, we're thinking. So there's a cognitive here process happening. Can computer do that? Yes. Expert system, knowledge base, all of these start burning once the data has been grown. So AI lives into the computing power and the growth of the data and telecommunication. Now let's talk about computing. Initially, we know any machines coming of CPU, just CPU. So CPU is taking the entire headache and the workload to do many multitasking and threading across your application. But it's too heavy. Can it do rendering? Yes, it can. But to render any video, for example, takes maybe 15, 16 to 20 hours. When GPU came, it offloads the power of rendering because GPU is graphical processing unit. It has its own memory, it has its own processing. Therefore, the load is being distributed now. It came to GPU. Now GPU is doing the same processing in very multi-threaded, parallel processing, very, very fast manner. So the process which was videos taking CPU 15, 20 hours, now we're going to take maybe a minute or a 2 minute. It didn't end here. Also, the processing power started breaking down. From CPU to GPU, it came DPU, data processing unit. And then start APU, accelerating processing unit. And not to mention a quantum computing which is coming on board, hopefully soon. It's already in the research now. What is this giving us an intention? The processors coming more and more powerful and intelligent. Therefore, AI is being born with the data size. Now, the data right now over the internet is being size 40 zettabyte. Huge. And it's growing very exponentially. So can we use the power of the data and the intelligence of the computing with the 5G? 5G is also came to take the very high bandwidth of the transformation. So can we use this to apply for the AI? Yes, AI is coming right now in a very different domains. Note, machine learning and deep learning are a subset of AI. They are not AI. As I said, AI is a cognitive system, expert system, knowledge base, robotic systems, machine learning, deep learning. So let's try to understand how we can use this into a real world. I said the power of computing, the growth of the data needs some algorithms. So all the AI is sit around the algorithm, very intelligent algorithm. What are these algorithms? They are the probabilities of doing a process. Let me give you an example. Suppose I gave you a briefcase with the 3 numbers. I told you try to crack it. So you try 001, 002, and over the time you'll do it. But what if I gave you a briefcase with 10 numbers? You're going to take maybe a month, and very hard. But if you apply this to the computer, it's going to do it in a very, very fast manner. Another one, chess. When you're playing a chess, the probability of taking the stone from one side to another is a lot of fast manner of processing. Why my second party has been moving the stones in this direction. So there's a lot of probabilities here. So the same has been applied to the GPU and TPU, which is tensor processing unit. Well, let's look some of the examples here, expert systems. Now, expert systems, we are right now have a lot of data. How I can use this data? Can I take this data and kind of analyzing in order to reach a decision? Yes. For example, let me give an example. In a bank is processing a loan. Now that loan is a very ordinary process, but here we can put an AI, can examine the blood of the applicant. He might get a sugar or he might get heart attack in the next 3 years. So the insurance will not consider this. This information cannot happen right now on the ground unless you have an AI technology next to you. So for example, another example is expert systems and knowledge base. Knowledge base is a Google search. You're typing then Google is putting you the complete phrase. He's sensing your intelligence. How he can sense what I want to type? He's been extracting this information across billions of people in the world, and then he have his own knowledge systems in order to present it to you, this phrase. Likewise, machine learning and deep learning, and I'll tell you the slides, what is machine learning, deep learning, but in short, machine learning is, machine itself is learning. Learning from what? Learning from the data. The more you feed the data to the machine, it's going to recognize. For example, if I gave you 1 million pictures and I told you, please identify a dog from this picture, we're going to take a lot of time. But because that's been trained by AI, sending him not a million, even 10 million, 20 million of pictures can do it very, very fast manner. The deep learning is a subset of machine learning. It's kind of neural network. In our brain is a neural network, interconnected. Billions of these cells are interconnected. The same is applied in the deep learning. In order to sense, in order to cognitive that process, in order to achieve what is this object. So give him a picture, he's going to tell you, yes, in this picture there's a dog, there's this type of animal, there's a human, this is a chair, and start learning. So you pass these data and systems start learning. As I said, please differentiate between machine learning and deep learning. Now the hardware which we are offering now, infrastructure, is completely built around the machine learning and deep learning. And here is the hot topic, how you can capitalize on these two technologies to fix your problem statement. Remember, for me, the way I look at AI is a hyper pharmacy for me. When I go, I need to know which medicine I should take. First, I should know my diseases, and then I should go and take that medicine. Exactly, here you have to stop. You have to know where is your problem, what you want to do with the AI. You can't get into AI like this. You have to find your problem statement. So we are trying to help you how you can facilitate these cases. Of course, this is not for all, but it's an examples. Now, we're trying to stage AI into multiple domains. As I said, for banking, oil and gas, energy, telecom, retail, smart cities, all of these, but each have its own case. So our strategy is to put this platform fulfilling the entire market. Now, first step we do see, you can get out of this box immediately, your data. You have a lot of data. And these data has been scattered across multiple relational database. And remember, 60% of the data now they're announcing is not in your hand, it's in the market. So for example, what is data coming from the Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp is not accessible. Can we access this data in a heterogeneous environment such as called big data? And then after having this data, I can analyze it in depth. Yes, here we are offering you these platforms. You can stage this data and reuse this data and analyze it in a very cognitive model. So ODP is facilitating the AI platform with the workspace as a service, where remotely you can access our environment with a virtual lab, and you can take it as a POC, and you put your data and start working with it, with the full security in place. And here you can have a code environment, and many technologies and tools has been already set around it. And as I said, Kubernetes and microservices already part of this solution. And on top of this, you can put your, for example, Python language, Jupyter notebooks, and many other R tools, for example, and start using the technologies immediately. Let's take another example, how can be detected. As I said, AI is a subset of multiple applications. For example, in this case, okay, where containers damage. So I can put a camera with IoT, immediately scans, and can seek that this for example, container has been damaged. And also it can scan all the barcodes and feed the information immediately, instantly to the backend systems. Another one is inspection of the infrastructure with the drones and the cameras, and immediately flies and detects where the damage has been happened, and the maintenance can go and fly in a very fast manner. But remember, these examples which you are introducing is not from our thought. It's already in the practice. It's already live. So we're trying to seek this kind of solution into this country. The third one is the bank's Fatrah, and in 2 minutes you have done it in Salala. So the system will recognize how come he can cut in 2 minutes 1,000 kilometers. So this is not a genuine, despite the transaction was successful, it's already attended. The system will be here now trying to analyze, and instantly it will block your card. Another one, I gave a card to my wife, she went to start using it. When you come to the ATM will take the picture, and I gave her the card and PIN, correct PIN. Start using it. So this, the AI can recognize this face is not belonging to me, and it immediately alert me. There's another one. There are hundreds of cases you can generate, aside of the fraud detection. Chatbot, as I said, chatbot is a very lovely technology. People like to talk or chat, but interactively. I'm doing it on a regular manner with Amazon. When I buy stuff with Amazon, I have a problem, I chat. But initially, there's no agent. This computer talking to me. Unless that problem has not been fixed, then it's going to get routed to the agent. 90% of these chats have been fixed by the robots. Also, this is very, very fast and very flexible. Or I can talk as an NLP. Now, one bank is claiming from UK, they have introduced a call center with an AI solution. So people talk not to interactive voice response machine, but to the AI in different kind of statements. Emails. Suppose you have a call center and you're getting 10,000 email, you need to process it in let's say in 8 hours. You can't do it. And which email is important? From the sentence and the text of the emails, the AI can sense based on your rule and say this email is important and can route it to the right agent to fix it. In healthcare, as I said, there's a lot of solutions about the healthcare. Mainly that is going to give you fast processing the diagnosis of the records, of the patient records. And here we also proposing as well your profiling, patient profiling. I've done 20 times, 10 times blood test. How I know from my historical record that I'm going to get sugar or not, or heart attack or not. So there's a lot of intelligence between this correlated information within your parameters of the blood test, and the AI can sense and tell you, yes, you're going to get this kind of diseases over a short of time. Another one, we are the diagnosis of MRI, ultrasound, brain tumor scanning. All of these, like MRI, I was doing research, they were saying usual doctors take 4 to 5 hours to analyze an MRI, but if you present the same reading to an AI, is going to take 45 seconds. The platform which we are offering is saying out of the box is going to offer 45 seconds versus 5 hours doctors scanning for MRI. So this again, I gave you like bone tumor that you can immediately analyze it real time. And ultrasound, I said already about that. Now here is another case. I put an IoT with the camera with 1,000 if not million of cars. Can I ask anyone, for example, how many cars crossed from 8 hours morning to 2 p.m.? It's very hard, really hard. And each car while it's crossing, this number plate has been scanned and immediately alerted to the, let's say, Royal Oman Police. This car has been stolen, it's already found it in this kind of, in this road, for example. Or this number of car has been passed from this point. Let's say one car has been already, his color has been changed without alerting the Royal Oman Police. Let's say the car color which was recorded, registered is blue, and now it is white. A lot of cases can be generated. Real time, fast manner. Here the AI comes, where there's a lot of data is happening. Now, Oman Data Park doesn't give you just the infrastructure, as I said, from the co-location, infrastructure services, platform as a service, and software as a service, but each layer has been injected with the security. So we have, alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, more ISO certification. We have also more than 500 protected customers with the security models. and we are already regulated by all kind of the countries from TRA, Central Bank of Oman, and regulations are being put into our mind all the time with updating our frameworks. And not to mention about PCI DSS as well, we have been certified. So we have, please visit our website. We have almost 16 to 17 products from DMARC, vulnerability scanning, also we brand protection, so many of these products. I'm not expert in the security, but this has already been put, and AI is going to be injected within AI solutions to give you a full-fledged of services. Conclusion. See, there are many, the cloud business is growing over there. It's coming now, okay? We like it or not, it's coming, okay? Like the virtualization when it started, I do remember it was 2003. When I staged it, VMware, people were telling me, are you crazy, you're staging banking onto VMware? But now it's become a de facto. The cloud is like the same, and AI is going to follow. So the AI is coming in the heart of the cloud. There are big players in the market, of course, AWS, Google, GCP, Azure, and One Data Park is focusing to cover the region. We're not saying we are competing with these big players, no. But what we're saying, your data is being protected in the country. We follow the regulation. We are flexible to sit one-to-one. Remember, the big player is a self-service. It's a self-service. But Oman Data Park is a managed services. It's a turnkey solution. It's one-stop solution. You come to us, we sit with you, we look at your problem, we construct for you solution, and we implement it and manage it for you as well. So Oman Data Park announcing today that we providing you not just an AI, we are providing you a lot of services, AI part of it, a one-stop shop to resolve the entire journey of your workload, to be transformed into cloud. AI's ecosystem is growing. Cloud business is growing. Maintaining your own data center, your own infrastructure is very cost effective. It's coming to the end of the life cycle as well. Maintaining the resources to maintain the infrastructure and security is a big challenge. Managing your resources to manage your infrastructure and platform is a big headache. We are here next to you. Please visit us. Let's sit together and solve your problem. We have transformed hundreds of companies from different sectors into cloud. Not to mention that AI is now our next journey, hopefully with your presence, of course. And I apologize if I delayed, and I hope this was informative. And should you have any question, I'm available during the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hassan, on the wonderful insight on Nيبولا AI, Oman's first and only AI platform. It's amazing how it will have a great impact on various sectors, as he mentioned, like banking, retail, telecommunications, medical, security, and much more. The list does go on. Well, our next speaker is a Google developer expert in machine learning and works as an AI engineering team lead at InstaDeep. He will be speaking on how AI can be used to optimize operation and reduce cost. Joining us virtually, please welcome Mr. Yusuf bin Diab, Head of Dubai Engineering, InstaDeep. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. In today's talk, I'm going to talk about how to optimize your operations and reduce your cost using AI. However, I'm not going to show like a theoretical cases, but I will talk about use cases that we implemented at InstaDeep for our clients. However, before I start, I would like to ask a question. First, why AI? Why artificial intelligence? Well, the first thing is that artificial intelligence now is a necessity. now it's going to transform every industry, just like electricity did 100 years ago. And the second reason is that between now and 2030, it will create an estimated $13 trillion of GDP growth. And the third reason is that it's going to transform all the sectors, not only software sectors. Well, now that we know the importance of AI, so how could you start as a company? How could you start your journey in AI? Well, you have 5 steps. The first one, you need first to start by executing pilot projects, just small projects, not very big projects. And then you need to build an in-house AI team. Then you have to provide a broad AI training for the different teams in your company. For example, for the executives, they will need specific training. Then your AI engineers also will need, for example, an extensive training of hundreds of hours. Then you need also to develop an AI strategy for your company. And you need to develop also internal and external communications. So we at InstaDeep, we accompany all our clients in all of these steps. So who is InstaDeep? So InstaDeep was founded in 2014 and is headquartered in London. So we are based on 3 pillars that differentiate us. First, we work with top-tier clients. We work with BioNTech, Total, Deutsche Bahn, and Google. And we have access to top talents in university, and we are funding different programs. And we have a lot of people from these different universities, MIT, École Polytechnique, etc. And also, we are doing cutting-edge research. We have a collaboration with DeepMind. We published papers together. We have 5 developer experts from 170 worldwide in machine learning. We are NVIDIA Elite Partner, and we have been elected 2 times in the top 100 AI startups. And actually, we have 6 offices in UK, Paris, Tunisia, Nigeria, South Africa, and Dubai. And we have also our own products. So we don't only do consulting, but we also build our own products. So how does it work? We have our decision-making platform that we use with the domain expertise, for example, for DeepChain, which is the first product, and used to design new candidates for cures, cures and vaccines. And it's actually deployed online. We have also a DeepPCB, which is deployed in beta version, and we are going soon to deploy 2 other projects, which are DeepPack and DeepRay. And as I said, also we are an NVIDIA Elite Partner, and we have our own servers and NVIDIA DGX GPUs. And we also worked with many big clusters like the Pangea 3, which was in 2019 the biggest commercial cluster in the world. And yeah, so now I'm going to talk about the use cases we did with our clients. So I will start with use cases with Total. So the first use case we started with Total is accelerating an algorithm called the local thickness algorithm. So how did it all start? So Total told us we have an algorithm that takes more than 10 hours to run on CPUs, and this is too much for us. We wanted to run. Could you optimize that or find a way to do it? So what we did, we took the code, we transformed the code that works on CPUs to work on NVIDIA GPUs. And at first, so we reduced that to 1 hour, from 10 hours to 1 hour, and it was on a single GPU, I mean a regular GPU for gaming, which costs us only like $200. And so we ported the code to the DGX, and we were able to optimize the code to run on 8 minutes. So from 10 hours, 30 minutes to 8 minutes only on 8 GPUs on our DGX class. Then we worked on different other projects for microfossils semantic segmentation. So we started in the first phase with the 2D segmentation. We found we had good results in the 2D image by image or layer by layer. But when we concatenated the images, as you can see on the left here, we didn't get good shapes for the microfossils. So what we did, we went in phase 2 to 3D semantic segmentation, and we obtained better shapes for the semantic segmentations. However, Total wanted better results, and they wanted to detect each fossil apart, and wanted to know what's its category and its volume, etc., and wanted to have the count of the microfossils. And here we implemented that using 3D instance segmentation. And actually, for example, finding all these fossils in a single scan like this one would take a geologist like a month of work. A month of tedious work, I mean, labeling each fossil in the pixels of each fossil in a only one single scan. And now you can obtain, I mean, all of these microfossils and this result on a 3D scan on like 40 minutes only instead of a month. And after that, we went to another project. So after we were able to detect the microfossils, they wanted us to generate them actually. Because what you see here, for example, this is the training image here. It's a 3D scan. So the scan you are seeing here, it's from a cutting that they obtain when they are drilling. And this cutting actually is very small. I mean, it's a few millimeters. And the problem is that their 3D scanners and all the 3D scanners in the world that provide such high resolution, they do not accept you cannot put a big rock like this one and put it in the micro CT scanner. So they take only some samples, some very small samples. However, they needed a big scan to run like the porosity, permeability, and different physical characteristics to test them. So they wanted a bigger sample or a bigger scan. So what we did, we took the training image here and we created a deep learning model called GAN, Generative Adversarial Network. And actually, so this model, it was created by NVIDIA actually. It was invented by NVIDIA. So we took it, we re-implemented it from scratch, and we converted it to 3D. And we did some modification to it so that we can generate bigger scans, not only generate, similar scans like this one, but bigger ones, like you can see in the picture here on the left. And when you zoom in this scan, you can see that you will find the same types of microfossils in here. And actually, when we run the different characteristics, they did their studies on these scans, we obtained the same characteristics from both generated scans. And then, so these are the projects we did with Total. We are also working with BioNTech on drug discovery. However, I cannot talk too much on that because it's classified. And another client is Deutsche Bahn, which we are working with. And actually, with Deutsche Bahn, we are working on the train scheduling. So they have more than 10,000 train rides per day, over 33,000 kilometers of railway. So imagine in case of an accident or in case of a delay, they have to do everything manually, to get back to work. And this is very tedious, actually. So the idea was to implement deep reinforcement learning. So the advantage of deep reinforcement learning compared to other optimization techniques is that the other optimization techniques, it takes, for example, a few hours to reroute all the trains, etc. It takes a lot of time. While for the deep reinforcement learning using AI, you train your model only once, and then it will instantly give you the results. So we are working on deploying this solution over all Germany. However, for now, we deployed it on 2 towns. We are testing it on 2 towns, and where you can see here, for example, in the flat map, in the flatland map here, it was trained actually before on a smaller map with 15 trains, and here it could generalize on a way bigger map. And now, as I said, so we are testing it in 2 towns in Germany, and it's deployed there. And so in the next few years, we are willing to deploy it on the whole Germany now. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
AI is now poised to transform every industry, set to create estimated $13 million of GDP growth, and additional waves of value creation will go beyond the software sector. Thank you so much, Mr. Youssef, for the great insights. Our next speaker, Mr. Maciej Mazur, is the Canonical Product Strategy Manager of Data Scientist Canonical. With over 10 years of experience in IT, working for companies like Nokia, HPE, PGS, architecting and delivering large-scale ML ops solution, and helping businesses get most value out of AI-based solutions. Joining us virtually, he will be speaking about the benefits of a cloud-based AI solution. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hello and welcome. My name is Maciej Mazur and I'm coming to you from Canonical. This is the company that you probably know best as creators and publishers of Ubuntu, the most favorite operating system for data scientists. But today we will be talking about MLOps. So in previous presentations you have heard how nice use cases you can build, how do you start from POC and so on. However, if your AI journey is in the a middle stage where you are trying to productize it, you need a robust process which allows you to actually do it. So we are talking about MLOps because writing the machine learning code and doing the data science part of the equation is only a small piece of what you need to do in a real production. You need to monitor your model, you need to analyze how it's doing, you need to connect data to it and do a lot of different things. Not only the data scientist's work itself, and that's what we are going to talk about today. So there are many differences between use cases. So in the later stage, I will show you a few use cases where I was doing the implementation. However, typically how you are starting your work, you have some infrastructure for your Jupyter notebooks, you do some exploratory data analysis, manually or automated. You have different types of data, not only standard tabular data that you know from a spreadsheet, but also pictures, videos, audios, 3D models, and all the other interesting things here. So obviously the process will be different for these types of requirements. Also, if you look at what are you actually doing with this data, you can do batch processing, split data into batches and do stuff more efficiently. Or if you need speed, you are using some streaming systems like message queues and real-time data analysis. Again, a lot of differences between those use cases. Also, data can be of a really high volume, like several petabytes per day, or high speed, like measurements from IoT sensors coming every 10 milliseconds, for example, in telco use cases. So Canonical is part of a thing called AI Infrastructure Alliance. Basically, we are supporting open source communities and different products in creating the best solutions and architectures of it. So this is a sample blueprint of a workflow which data scientists and MLOps engineers typically need to follow. So this is a generalization, and we'll dive into different use cases and see how specificities of those use cases are influencing this kind of models. So basically, besides the workflow, another very important part is the technical stack. So if you want to translate those workflows for actual software components and tools that you need to deploy on your infrastructure that you are hosting either on Kubernetes or somewhere else, then you need things like experimentation engine, serving engine, monitoring tools, and so on. And these two charts are going to help you when you are trying to figure out if you are missing a part when you are implementing MLOps and how to choose your tools and so on. So typically how ML project is starting, there is a choice to be made. So you can either take a ready-made single platform, which is out of the box, just click and deploy it However, this might be more expensive than you need, or not having enough features, or having too much features, or actually create a tailored solutions. And what we see in most cases, people are going for a tailored solution because the ready-made single platform cannot. That, let's look at the use cases. So first use case I want to talk about is customs documents handling. So one of our customers is a logistics company, which is worldwide one, and they have huge amount of customs declarations. So basically they have an OCR that is understanding the paperwork around a ship or a lorry or a container, and does all the legal checks and automatically fills in customs documents and declarations. So if we look at this from the process perspective, so in the workflow that you have, there are a lot of old spreadsheet type of formats coming from old Microsoft documents where some legal processes are explained, which is quite specific, and not all the standard ingestion engines can handle that. Also, the customer had two different teams, ML engineers and data scientists, and data scientist team was purely academical, and they were starting their career in IT and programming, and ML engineering team was actually a DevOps team, which was renamed to ML engineering team. So also a huge difference between them in terms of understanding the process. Also, the idea was that this is a batch processing. So after a certain amount of cases are built in, it runs the process itself. And also a data lineage was very important here because they had legal requirements to track all the decisions being made and how they were made. And basically what it required actually is to import data from MS Azure, because this was the only thing that could cope with the old spreadsheet type of files, and they had their own infrastructure run on-prem, like you guys can on ODP, and they were using tools like Pachyderm and Kubeflow for the main part of the process, and serving stuff with TensorFlow. So as you can see already here, there is a big composition of different tools needed to build such a tailored solution. Let's look at another use case from the same perspective. So the smart city monitoring one of the European cities built up a public services targeted solution where they had 5,000 cameras, 4K video streams, constant video streaming. It was doing facial recognition, license plates, accidents, and all this kind of stuff. And also they needed to store a really large archive of those video footage because they might be used in court. So basically they needed a huge setup with many NVIDIA 100 GPUs to be able to cope with that. And it was a high security environment. And again, if we look at the process, the main challenges here was the fact of, first of all, many 4K video streams. The ingestion is obviously complicated because you need to ingest them in real time, and even physical infrastructure might be a blocker here. Also strict access control, obviously, like a typical AI/ML platform is not rigged for public services by default and out of the box. And also the fact that the whole training was done not on a single frames, like you typically do with the videos. You can use OpenCV, split the video into frames and do analysis on a single frame, like on a picture. Here, the context was important and what happened before and after a certain situation, like in a car accident or whatever. So the analysis was extended to several frames and the conclusions were connected. Also, the deployment to cameras and real-time inference were very important here. And because of that, the whole infrastructure was based on NVIDIA Triton because of high performance needs. And the whole streaming was done based on Spark Streaming and Keras. So again, completely different set of tools. Manufacturing process optimization, that's an interesting use case. So I was working with one of the biggest automotive companies. They have 7 factories in different locations. And basically, they have the same process to optimize because they are manufacturing the same parts on similar production lines in different countries. So there were a huge amount of devices like sensors, actuators, and so on with digital twins and reporting every 1 second. So that's like huge amount of data, but also the improvements are very beneficial. And here the trick was that all of those sensors and actuators coming from different vendors had different databases and ways of gathering data, multiple frameworks, and a really big setup and a lot of environments to sync. So that's also an interesting one. And the set of tools available here on the picture. So they wanted to have a hybrid solution because of basically the ability to, in some countries, they didn't have the proper data center hosting services like you have here. And they were then using the cloud, and in countries where they could find a good on-prem hosting, they were using that one. So next one is the smart agriculture. Here the cost was the key. It was a really simple process, just monitoring the meteorological information and chemicals in the soil. And again, here the whole MLOps process was focused on being as simple and as cheap as possible. So basically only open source components which are used on the local university. So the whole training and creating the models was done in R programming language. It was using things like Chant Kubernetes and Kubeflow in order to make it really cost efficient and easy to accommodate by the local farmers. And this was actually one of the biggest successes because the whole optimization of the potato growth gave them 23% growth in yield from the field. So even though you don't use super expensive tools, you can achieve amazing results. Next one is AGV control, automated ground vehicles. So that's a model that I was actually training myself as well. And this had high compute requirements and doing the coordination of a fleet of AGVs. And the trick here was that the model was deployed on a Jetson device, which is basically a small NVIDIA board, but it was trained in Kubernetes cluster. So a lot of image processing and also 3D image and a lot of synthetic data generation because we didn't have a possibility to record the videos in every possible light conditions, like very dark or very bright light and so on. So a lot of data were generated in a synthetic manner, and the whole stuff was created on NVIDIA stack because of the Jetson deployment. So what we can conclude from these examples is that every MLOps setup is different, and you need different tools to create it. It might be complicated if you are a data scientist and you don't want to put a lot of time into learning all of the ops stuff. And how you can save a lot of time with the tailored solution is model-driven operations. So as you know, we as data scientists a few years ago started automating our stuff. So we basically looked around and see that our colleagues in IT are using tools like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, Terraform, and so on for configuration management. And that's what we started using because why not? And then we saw that this is not good enough because we need to hard code many parameters, write many pieces of black bash scripts that are executed during the process. So we went over the evolution to a declarative deployment with Helm charts, YAML files. It was much easier to just define what we need, and it happened. However, basically we ended up with thousands of lines of YAML configuration. So we improved even more, looking into Kubernetes and containers and the whole Kubernetes operators with imperative lifecycle management, which actually by containerizing different services made stuff much easier. And now I'm going to present you even further evolution of that concept, which is called Juju, and this is about model-driven operations. So what Juju is doing is taking the application domain knowledge and distills it into code. The bonus is for us data scientists is that it's actually a Python code. So we are using mostly Python for all of our work, so we can have the operations coded in Python as well. So no huge big YAMLs or XML files anymore. And how Juju is working, you get a model of your system, which is basically a graph of different connections between the pieces. And the applications are deployed by a thing called charm or charmed operator. How it works is basically with your command line or GUI, you have a Juju controller, which has an agent that can work with the charmed operator and your application. So in Kubernetes context, it means that it can create new namespaces, stateful sets, and so on, but everything is boiled down into really a simple commands like Juju deploy or Juju scale, and the automation is happening. What's really important is that if you run the operators or Kubernetes, it's not touching your application at all. So the application container, the workload container is completely separate, and you get a charmed container in the same Juju unit, which is doing all the actions. So you can very quickly and easily upgrade to different versions and do a lot of operations with your workload using that method. And if you want even more control of what's happening inside the workload, for example, if you are doing multi-instance GPU or GPU slicing for different workloads, giving them pieces of your physical GPU and so on, you can use a thing called Pebble, where you get a unique socket to inside the workload container to do some changes in real time, if that's what you need. Juju also comes with the concept of relations. And what a relation means is basically if you have Juju charms from open source, download from the charm store. What you do, you can do Juju deploy Postgres, Juju deploy your application, and then relate them together. The whole thing that happens later is fully automated, so it knows that something can provide and something can require PostgreSQL. And if you Juju relate your two applications together, everything that is needed will happen. So the network connectivity will be established, the databases are created, the passwords and usernames and everything that is necessary for these two applications to actually use one another. This happens in a fully automated manner on different environments. So the user experience is really simple. You have your Kubernetes deployed, like on ODP Kubernetes, for example, and then you talk to your Juju controller and you can deploy a different model. What a lot of our customers saw really beneficial is the fact that you actually can use it for a hybrid solution. So if you have a stuff deployed on the cloud here and you need something additional on-prem in your location or on any public cloud, you can do Juju deploy and just change the target, and Juju is aware and understands all the complexity behind it. So basically using that, you can choosing with different open source pieces, any MLOps infrastructure that you want to deploy, and deploy it with a single command. The bonus is that it is fully open source, free to use, so you can just go to juju.is, download it and start using. And we are also supporting it if necessary in your enterprise use cases. We are happy to do that as well. So thank you very much for listening, and let's jump into the questions. If there are any questions, please put them on the chat or share with me.
Cloud-based AI solution will set industry standards and definitely drive innovation by maximizing existing assets. It will elevate data analysis to a whole new level. Thank you so much, Mr. Matiej. Our last virtual speaker is leading the AI and IoT business in Ingram Micro for Middle East and African region with over 20+ years experience. Let's welcome Mr. Tamer Abdel Fattah, Head of IoT and AI Division Ingram Micro, who will speak about AI use cases from the region. Let's give him a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. Hi, how are you? I'm really pleased to be with you here today, and I would like to congratulate ODP for the great opening today. And just 1 second, just adjusting my share here. Okay, so in the beginning, I would like to say what Ingram Micro is doing in this ecosystem that Oman Data Park has created. And I'm really glad to be part of this ecosystem that's offering a proper offering for Omani market in the artificial intelligence part. I'm not going to talk a lot about technicalities. Actually, as Ingram Micro, we are distributing technology and we are implementing and provide the NVIDIA infrastructure and technology. But I'm here to talk about the artificial intelligence use cases in our lives and how all the partners of ODP can make the benefit of having such AI cloud offering in Oman. And I will start with simply going quickly about the AI subfield, that those are really making a great benefit and really useful today in the market. And there are lots of success stories around it today, starting from the computer vision, natural language processing, speech recognition, and robotics. And the main subfields or sub-technologies of the artificial intelligence, those are the machine learning and the deep learning. So in a very simple words, as you might heard already a couple of times today, that the computer vision is how to mimic the people way of seeing things, how to understand if this is a car or another object or an animal. And there are different levels even of understanding this, like if we're going to the machine learning, we are doing it on a lighter way, let's say. If we're going with deep learning, we need to go deeper about the features and the feature extractions that's required with the classification, so we get the proper output. Also, this goes into several iterations and several neural networks. Those are processing all these things, and before it was not possible at all with the CPU performance to do all these intensive compute processes. Other than the normal HPC that was like 10 years ago, it was not possible at all to make things on time. And to have such HPC setup, you had to have lots of square feet, thousands and thousands of square feet to have such infrastructure required, and with lots of energy and cooling required as resources. So today, with the NVIDIA infrastructure and the benefit of having such big computational power, definitely this can happen easily. Going to the second area, which is the natural language processing, and there is something that I want to stress on. The natural language processing as a definition is not just translating words like the OCR or speech recognition. It's mainly about the context extraction and understanding what's the context of these words. Either it's said like on a voice, or it's a paper that someone is trying to read this paper and try to get the context out of it. Like, for example, I'll give you a very simple example. If if you're reading a document, you can understand if this is a phone number, if this is a bank account, if this is like an address or something, and this is what machine is doing. So when you see how the machine, the language based on the different programming languages that we see, like Python, R, or other programming languages in the market, you will never predict or imagine how these things will be the way of understanding the people speech context. But when you are into the technology and you see how the effect of this context extraction is giving a benefit for the market, definitely this worth a lot, and this worth all the efforts happening to do that. Big question that we hear even from our partners and our customers is this: is the speech recognition is the same like NLP? And as we said before, it's two different areas, because speech recognition can be to just translate or put words together, but natural language processing is the way that we understand the speech and read documents. And to do this, we have, I will not get into this in very deep detail, but it's a big cycle that we need to do in the modeling first, and then the categorization of the text, and then the clustering, information extraction, and naming entity resolution. All this is a cycle that we take it from the first to the end to make sure that the context understood in a proper way. And that's why we say that AI was very important to come. It's and to make sure that it's not just a speech recognition or OCR. Let's say it's something that makes sense when we're talking about unstructured data. There are several phases to go into this cycle of the AI for the natural language processing or the computer vision or different artificial intelligence technologies, starting with the classification, going to the regression and the clustering. And based on that, you can understand how much computational power that's required. And that's why AI came to the real life, after we got all the infrastructure required, either from the computing power, from the storage for the data, because the amount of data is required is huge, and also the communication bandwidth and communication infrastructure. Going to, okay, where is the artificial intelligence in our life? How they are very useful. Why today artificial intelligence came up big time? Even, yes, we understand, of course, technology are very big enabler for that. But does it mean that just the technology? No, not only just the technology. The point is the market demand, the different industries. So today we see that artificial intelligence can come into the construction industry. Of course, lots of government applications, cybersecurity, as we heard before already, the offering from ODP in the cybersecurity specific area. Of course, this is very important area. Healthcare, and you heard today the several success stories that NVIDIA announced about the healthcare and genome applications in the region. Finance, automation, automated marketing, of course, and marketing is very important. And you see the big effect of the different platforms on people's lives today. And all these platforms are mainly a marketing platform using different types of communication, social media, or normal communication methodology. Going to some specific areas that I would like to stress about the importance of artificial intelligence in, and today having artificial intelligence offering in Oman as an in-country offering will make it much easier to onboard such technologies. Starting with the healthcare, which is affecting everyone's life here. AI has helped a lot in the different areas of the healthcare, like starting from the drug discovery and structure, clinical trial matching. The point is, even the simulation of the effect of a medicine or effect of a procedure was very easy now. It is very easy now. It was not easy at all, because before you had to put a people or an animal or something, and you need to simulate this medication on it and see the effect after some time. It takes time, it's risky, lots of tasks around and lots of precautions that's required. Now the machine can simulate these effects. Of course, a big thing that's also very important in the X-rays and MRIs and all this area, to check to help in the lung cancer early detection. That makes a big difference if it's detected earlier, so it can be healed. Skin cancer detection, immune system analysis as well. Automotive, area where we are living every day, and even if, of course, everything is going to autonomous, but even before going to the autonomous driving, lots of features that you see today in the latest cars models are saving lives, are making sure that cars start to detect objects around it, detect distances, detect traffic lights, detect people. So it starts to give an early alert for the people, for the driver, for the passengers, making sure that there are lots of safety precautions now that being taken in the driving as well. Security and surveillance. One of the most important things that AI make a big difference, because you can imagine like 10 years or 15 years ago, 10 years ago, let's say, the guy who's sitting in the operations room, in the security room, is looking at hundreds of cameras, and you are thinking that this guy will be able to detect abnormality or something that's happening somewhere within all these cameras. This is like impossible. Today, cameras are not just recording. Cameras are detecting. Cameras are alerting. Cameras can understand what's going on, if this is something normal or not. So artificial intelligence make a big difference in this area. Retail is an area that also we live every day, and having a different experience from a customer or a business owner perspective with the artificial intelligence are already there. Today you can see that there are lots of supermarkets and shopping malls are acting differently because of the artificial intelligence, either in-shop use cases or even in the back end, in warehouses. So in optimization of the warehouses, optimization of the logistics, demand forecasting are very important to make sure that this business is up and running with the best experience. Manufacturing, and manufacture is one of the industries or one of the verticals that's affected big time with artificial intelligence. And starting from the automation and robotics, of course, the 3D vision inspection is something which is give much better quality, that the quality is much higher. At the end, actually, I would like to quickly go around several use cases that came out during the COVID-19 time, especially in 2020, we'll say, and of course extended to 2021. And I can say that I look at it from the positive point of view, that we had really a good outcomes out of this time. However, it was really difficult, it was really painful. But during this time, the artificial intelligence made a big difference in our life. Starting from what we're talking about, the quantification of the lung nodule and diagnosis for that. That was very important to start doing it in areas, especially that they don't have lots of PCR test modules. So it was also a good alternative. Today, even during the COVID-19, during the lockdown that we have seen, most of us started to see what's called the virtual clinic, started to see chatbots that gives and interact with the people, because normal platforms were not capable to interact with the peoples during that difficult time. So virtual clinics and chatbots used today with the hospitals did not end. They are continuing. They are going to be a normal practice, and we really see this in most of the hospitals in the region. And again, these outcomes coming from this time was very important to understand. Accelerating research to fight COVID-19, and everyone see that the vaccine and some medications came out in a very quick time, very fast time, and this wouldn't happen by normal infrastructure or normal procedures and process that usually happening in the normal times. So even if we wanted to make it much faster and we don't have the infrastructure, this wouldn't happen. But with the infrastructure that we have today in the research entities and the the big universities that have contributed big time of making the vaccines and making the medications. We have the infrastructure today as human being, and as mentioned before, I think in one of the sessions, that the point of having a proactive approach by having DNA research in some of the authorities in the region here is very important moving forward, to not get the same hit that we got during the COVID-19 time. Also, the supply chain capacity and capacity planning using the machine learning in this area was very important. And I think everyone remember in the beginning of this time, there was a big issue in the supply chain. People start to get in panic mode a little bit, and also going to 100% online shopping for many of the groceries and big supermarket chains was something like a mandate or a real requirement. And this was not easy in the beginning if you're going in the normal way. So using the machine learning for such use case and such demand was very important. And today, again, this technology continues to support and make things much easier, and becoming like a default for all the normal logistics and supply chain management in the region. Inventory optimization and demand forecasting, also very important point and very important use case that that's being used till today. And I think also this will continue helping the trading business, the supply chain for everything, and helping actually countries to make faster business and faster commercial transactions in different areas and different industries. Also, during that time, there was actually everyone, I think you noticed this thermal cameras, but thermal cameras was actually used in the front end, but also we have added some symptoms detection in addition to this, and we offered this solution to the market, and it was a great success. Something that can detect the coughing and sneezing, something can detect social distancing. Again, this is one of the applications and use cases that was very important and required to make sure that the standards and the precautions are taken and everyone is following that in the common places and public places. With that, I would like to thank you for having me today and for listening. And I'm here also to listen to any or answer any question. Thank you so much, and congratulations ODP for such great launch of AI Cloud in Oman.
AI did make a huge difference in our life. I completely agree with you, Mr. Tamer. In general, AI will have a great impact by automating processes, enhancing creative tasks while preparing precision, reducing human error and time spent on data analysis. Well, the list goes on. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we reach the end of our event. Thank you very much for joining us today. Of course, this vision couldn't have become a reality without the support of our partners. Strategic partners, NVIDIA and Baikal. Associate partners, Mindware and PowerDMark. Support partners, BPS and Ingram. Last but not the least, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to all our audience over here as well as virtually. Thank you so much, and ma'as-salama. Also, before we conclude, not to forget, lunch is being served outside, so please help yourself to lunch right outside the hall. Bon appetit and sahtin to everyone.